And certainly I've been more than satisfied with Buick's characteristics. The trade-in values are very high. We've come to believe in it as a product that's about as reliable as you can get a product. We put a lot of our friends onto Buick.
The 1970 Buick is something to believe in. Wouldn't you really rather have a Buick?
Do we begin with a new point of determination, or is that spent for the scenario? In other words, is it session or scenario or some other unit?
Yeah, we would think of it as episodic.
Okay,
but
good.
they carry on. So if it's, I mean, you can hold them until they're spent, so you can carry them between episodes.
I get that. Yes. No reset, except episode reset. Okay,
right.
Good.
And is everyone clear on how determination is regained?
I think I know, but I want to hear you say it.
Okay. We have the complication of your values, wherein your value is pushing you in one direction, but the situation is quite ambiguous about what is the right thing to do. Be true to yourself or be true to some other value. So it's complicated. The situation is complicated. At that point, the game master can ask for one of those courses to be taken and supply a point of determination if you agree. If you don't want your character to do that thing, then you don't earn the point of determination.
May the player suggest that this is a values challenge moment.
Absolutely.
In solidarity with the game master, as
Yeah.
opposed to, for example, grubbing for determination.
Yeah. And honestly, I find that these kind of mechanics work best when everybody,
Absolutely.
As we grow more familiar with all of the characters, it's a point, at least to ask the player involved, do you think that maybe, because we don't always notice in those situations. And then there are challenges to values while we're talking about it, where mostly as the player, we might decide that the challenge is really at odds with the things that we want to do with them, and it's time to change that value. And normally you have your 4 values, but it gets crossed out. It's no longer accessible. It's not going to be there as a determination trigger or as a way to refresh your determination. It's actually gone. So this is a period of change for that character. And then when we get to the end of the scenario, the end of the episode, where we handle things like experience points and that kind of stuff, then as the player, you sit down to figure out what this new value really is. Let's return back to the 1970s and the episode that never was. Before the commercial break, the crew of the Avicenna had received a notification that they were to leave space dock with all due haste and rendezvous with the medical ship, the hospital ship, the USS Potemkin. Right? Not named after the famous Russian, but the famous Martian virologist, Jamal Potemkin. The crew brought themselves together, received a resounding message from the captain about unity, and then proceeded at high warp, at warp 6, to rendezvous with the Potemkin, where they discovered that the crisis, the seismic event which was destroying a Federation outpost on the planet Xenon 5, was ongoing, but no rescue operations were in place as the entire crew of the Potemkin was missing. The ship was floating, not dead in space, simply uninhabited. Crewless. The security chief had begun to prepare for rescue operations. And as we left the scene, we were waiting for the response back from the sensor operators about the safety for transport or the requirement for shuttles. All right. Mm-hmm. And so, as we settle in, we will open up on the bridge. The captain is still there. Yang has not yet been assigned to shuttle pilot duty because we don't know yet if that will be required. Our security chief is in the shuttle bay. And so what we really need at this moment is a sensor or life sciences officer on the bridge. Anya is very busy trying to raise the Potemkin, futilely, it seems, and to regain contact with the colony. She has summoned relief crew to the bridge off their shift. Mm-hmm. So, gents, who will our life sciences crew member be? Ron, because your character is actually absent, how about we go to you first for an idea?
My idea was a man of African descent. His name is spelled M-B-U-T-O, Mbuto, and is probably a veteran of conflict situations, perhaps a lot like Anya, has perhaps backed off on careerism in favor of, these deployments. I'm sort of getting a pattern here that maybe people either like do time on a ship like this and then breathe a sigh of relief that they're not dead and get the hell out and onto a better, safer, more, higher ranked position, or they stay.
They stay. Yeah.
Maybe I don't know if it's like really constant, but there was one person like this. Now there are two.
I like it.
So anyway, that's all I got at the moment.
So we know this gentleman we know that Mbuto is in the blue shirt of the science division. Right? He comes in with some other characters to the bridge where there's lots of activity. We can hear Anya in the background repeating the same message over and over and over again to try and regain contact, but her hands are moving like lightning across the glittering board as she's trying every possible combination, every different technology, trying to find some system that she can successfully make a connection with on the planet below. Right. And the ship itself was not in orbit. It had dropped out of warp. It had detected trouble on the planet. It tried to raise the planet. It detected trouble with the Potemkin, tried to raise that. And as it's nearing the expected zone of operations, something has to be done about this as well, as Mbuto takes his position to answer the call.
At this point, I think Ensign Yang will ask the captain if he should take the ship towards the Potemkin or take the ship towards the planet.
Our first priority in any medical emergency is to remove the patient from the source of danger. We need to make our priority getting these people safe from the planetary danger. Let's move towards the planet and deal with the Potemkin as the opportunity arises. We will be working towards either getting a team transported to the planet or the shuttles, possibly both.
Aye, aye, Captain. Steers the ship to enter orbit into the colony.
Okay.
What is my role via Mbuto, or do I not do anything?
So Mbuto in this scene is your character. Now, if Mbuto were in this scene and all of your main characters were also in the scene, any of you would have the choice to be your character or be Mbuto, but it's for the whole scene.
Same for Anya.
Exactly. Anya is also a secondary character. So you could choose to be her instead, especially if you realize the scene was more contingent on what that character does compared to what your character does. Mechanically speaking, secondary characters, if not in the role of player character for a scene, cannot handle anything beyond difficulty 0.
Got it. Yeah.
But when you are playing them, they can. And your main character or other characters like that can assist them when they're not being used as a player character. They can contribute a die to that other person's role.
Okay.
Okay. So you've got Mbuto for this scene.
Okay. I'm going to play him a little muted at the moment. He's doing what he's supposed to do. He is busting butt on the sensor situation with a special reference to transporter conditions. That's the big priority. Can we use the transporter into and out of that situation?
All right.
And also sensors do God knows what. So
all right. I'm going to share
you let me know what they can do in this scene.
Exactly. I'm going to first I'll bring it up. I'm going to share the screen so we can look at the template for the secondary characters. Okay, there it is. Share screen.
There. Mm-hmm.
I mean, there it is for me. Now here it is for us. So this is Anya. Can you see it well enough?
Beautiful.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so Anya Smith, her rank is lieutenant. She's junior grade. She's human, and this is her distribution of points. All right. Now, we're not using her. We're going to be creating Mbuto. All right. All right, well, let's just fill this in. So, or would someone else like to fill it in instead of me, because it is our wiki? All right. Mbuto is going to be an ensign. Human. Okay. Now we have 10, 2 9s, 2 8s, and a 7 to distribute. And the reason why the secondary character is chosen will dictate what our best traits are and what our first focus is. That's why they're swimming into view to do that task. Mm-hmm. So this is a sensors check, right? So I would say something like reason and science as being the best that this.
He's the specialist that we've created for this zone.
Right.
When we move to those are obvious, I think, but the somewhat more subjective decisions about sort of the next ranked numbers, I'm seeing him as control is a strong.
All right.
Control. This is an unusual combination, but control and daring.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, this used to be a ship of war.
I'm seeing him as this guy has been on this ship doing this stuff for a long time. I think that we're dealing with perhaps you already made Jim, who's no slouch, right, in the personality department, and we gotta maybe keep that going.
All right. Now we've got 2 8s and a 7.
Anyone else feel free?
Yeah.
I think let's go for a 7 on presence here.
Yeah, agreed.
A little bit of a grating personality.
Yeah,
this is the science officer who...
Right, he doesn't put himself forward, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So then let's not argue about which 8 went where.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Disciplines, same thing. This is science, so we'll put our 4 into science.
Right.
Then we've got 3 2 2s and 2 1s. So where would we like our 3? Command,
medicine,
comms.
I imagine, right? Or
what about engineering?
We're pretty decent on on medicine here.
Okay. All right.
So,
Whatever
and
you guys think.
was that engineering?
Yeah.
Okay.
With a daring, do we want a little bit of security here?
I'm
Is this
liking
guy
that.
a bit-
I think a 2 on
Yeah.
security is called for. Yeah. He's,
or even the 3 on security, 3 and then the
oh,
2.
well, either way. Either way.
Yeah. It works fine.
Shall I do it then? 3? And
Yeah,
then engineering 2?
3 and 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bit of a hidden badass, or not too hidden,
Yeah,
actually. Yeah.
He had to work his way through school. So, so 4, 3, then 2 2s and a 1. So
Commands at the, whoa. 2 twos and a,
And 1.
whoa.
I'm more leaning towards 2 at the cons and the 1s at the rest.
Yeah, I agree with Casey.
I know I said it wrong. 1, 2 left and 2 1s. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. So we only have to deal with one focus. The other focus will come up if this character ever appears again.
Reintroduced.
All right. And
Censor stuff just because we got to do it. We need it.
let's just call it sensor scans for now, and we'll get more
Okay.
detailed in the future.
Yeah,
All right, so there he
actually,
is.
the detail kind of came in. It's like emergency. I don't know. Whatever. Go on.
Emergency beam out, right? But that's too narrow. But
Yeah.
that's okay. Or how about this?
Transporter specialist?
Yeah. Yeah. Because I bet we deal with really funky scan results all the time. I'm thinking about that balance of terror when Spock has to analyze the debris and realize that it's a decoy, that kind of stuff.
The weight doesn't match.
You gotta know there's a problem before you can, you gotta suspect the problem before you can analyze for it, that kind of thing.
Right on. All right, so Ron, you're going to make the first roll of the evening.
I am. Holy crap. Okay, talk to me.
Okay.
I got myself my my reason and my
Science.
science. Right. Okay. So that's brutal. That's like 2 dice with 10 and a 4. Correct.
Yeah, so it's a 14. Yeah,
and I've
so-
certainly got the scan interpretation, but that deals with the dice once they've hit.
Yeah. So so because there's an active focus in the scene, if you roll a 1, the best possible roll, it doesn't matter.
Right.
Right.
Well, as it turns out, we squeak by with a single success.
Okay.
The ship gets a die here as well. Is that correct?
It will.
Okay.
All right. So let's actually go through just as a refresher, the steps. So the base is the 2 dice, and the difficulty of this scan is 1. All right. So we need 1 success or more. And at this point, Ron, as the player, can access momentum or threat or both to buy additional dice if he thinks it's worth it. And any additional successes become momentum that he can spend to improve his results, like creating an advantage.
Or I can leave the momentum where it sits if I want to, correct?
Yeah, if you don't have any particular use for it, then it goes
Right.
into the bank, providing the bank isn't full.
I'm merely going to put the pedal to the metal in the system and buy a point of extra threat so that I can roll 1 more die for that purpose. Is that allowed?
That's totally fine. Now,
I do that now.
all I ask then is, as part of what Mbuto is doing, what is he doing that adds threat to our situation rather than adding the benefits of teamwork and whatnot that equal momentum?
Well, I don't want to do it in terms of his
Suggestions
incompetence
come
or
in here?
unprofessionalism, but
Right.
I am going to say that he's working with consoles that aren't the way they're supposed to be, right? I mean, they're all regenericized.
Yep.
I don't
Okay.
know if that's allowed, that I can talk about it in terms of the difficult circumstances. Is that a
Totally.
okay?
Right, so
if that's allowed, then he will openly curse the console. He's like, this is not, what's going on with these consoles, right?
Yeah.
And so
And this sort of stuff.
And he has to like even like open a panel, right? You know, get his hand in there to make this thing do what it's supposed to do.
Which might make a future task more difficult. It erodes trust in the ship. Yeah, that's ideal. Okay, so you got one extra die.
Pop that in, and I now have rolled my third die, and boy, you want to talk about pedal to the metal on the system. I retain my old success with the 9. I don't match a focus. Or wait, I do match a focus, right? Because I got one of my target. Oh God, I'm so confused. One of my targets was a 10. Correct?
No, your target is 14, and if you roll below 4 or lower, then that counts as being under your focus.
Not confused anymore. My third die rolled a 20. I hope that's not a dreadful outcome.
Well, that's a complication. That gives me the choice of adding a complication to the scene or adding 2 threat. I'm going to keep things moving and add 2 threat.
Whatever's worst.
Yeah. I'm just going to keep things moving for now and add 2 threat. But I could do something like apply a negative situation, which would increase difficulties for. He opened that panel, right? Maybe it exploded and sparked, and now there's a higher difficulty for scanning.
But instead, we've got the threat. Okay, tell me what the sensor gives me with my success.
I will. So this is the basic response. We're still in Mbuto's role, right?
Yep.
And if there's momentum available that he wants to use for obtain information or to do something else of the different options for spending momentum, like creating advantages, then it's on him first.
Okay.
Okay, so here's the basic information. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, please do, because I don't know if I want additional information yet, because I don't know the basic.
Right, and you don't have to declare now. And you can spend 1 point of momentum, get information, then spend another point and get more information until you feel satisfied, as long as you have enough momentum. Right, so that's why I call this the long roll.
Yes. Start me on the baseline.
Okay, so the core of the question, which was successful, right? But now I've forgotten how many successes came in. Was it just 1? Okay.
1.
So the task was successful. All it needed was 1 success. You got 1. Is it safe to beam down and beam out, or do we have to go in the shuttles? So here's that base information. There are explosions all throughout the complex's lower levels, which is causing all the levels to be unstable. And there are collapses in various points in this domed outpost. Part of the outpost is above the surface. Most of the outpost is below the surface. So all the lower levels are at extreme risk of cave-ins collapsing rather than just structure collapsing. So there's that, which is causing energy discharges of various types, not just electrical, because this is the future, right? Throughout the place. And that may wreak havoc with the transporter because they are unpredictable. That's the basic information.
Okay. I will, in much fewer syllables than you use, convey this information to the bridge at large, including our captain. And that is, and I will follow up, Mbutu will follow up with the comment that there's more to assess, but we don't, but we need to move on that information immediately. That's why I'm not spending the additional momentum, because we have got to, permission to authorize transporter, immediately. We have no time. Got to get in and out.
Understood. We have, Telek will sort of vocalize a thinking pattern here. We do have a situation where there is risk involved, and the more critical people that we need to reach are at the riskiest levels of this complex. We have a choice of increasing our own risk to get to those people and work our way up, trying to evacuate, or start at a safer level to get the most people that we can. I think virtue requires action. We need to get to the people that we can while we can. Prepare an away team. This needs to be a combination of medical and engineering. Possibly the engineering we need to assemble 2 away teams. A medical team with security to go down to the lower levels, and a engineering team to go up to the upper levels, engineering and command team to go up to the upper levels to speak with the people on this planet to find out what's going on and see if there's anything we can do to stabilize the situation.
Okay.
Now, do we want this to be an us away mission? I could see us being the ideal lower levels team. And I am going to propose that Dr. Jim stay with the ship and prepare the medical bay and the shuttles to get ready whenever when people start arriving. Anya, I'm going to leave the bridge to you. Keep going with the communication. And I will bring Yang and Korsakov with me to the lower levels. This will be a difficult transport. Please have engineering and transport get things ready for a very fast, quick, and keep a lock on us while we're down there. Secondary team will go after us to the upper levels.
Okay. So,
Okay.
Orders given. We open up in the transporter room with people reporting to the transporter. There is, of course, a transporter operator there, right? And
Please tell me they have an ambiguously Irish name.
ambiguously Irish, not definitely Irish. Right. We may or may not get to know them better later. Right. What we can tell is that this person would not be a secondary character. Right. This person will have to make a fairly difficult transporter role in order to effect this transport. And so it's not something that can be left in the hands of the secondary character. So, okay. Where precisely would you like to go? You've got 5 above ground levels of a basically domed structure, and then a much more random, as if the caverns were converted into a Starfleet base as it expanded. They're preparing for more, a larger population than they have. Right.
I think a secondary momentum from Imbuto on that sensor roll might be useful here to give us a lower level location that will give us sort of a pathway to work our way up and gather
Additional information from the roll.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Is
Well,
that possible?
this is
at this
a
point?
new scene. All right. We're going to go back to
okay.
we're going to go back to sharing the screen. Where are you, my screen? There you are. Okay. All right. So we're in a new scene. So this has happened.
Right.
Momentum decays.
Oh, I didn't know that. Cool. All right. Good.
Okay.
All right.
Yes.
So we have one in the bank, right, in the momentum pool, and you can certainly ask, call back up to the bridge or what have you, or to have Embuto give you a specific scanning point and communicate that to the transporter operator. All of these things, and that can certainly take place. In fact, Embuto may have followed you down here to work with the transporter operator. We've seen that many times in the show. So
I think that's a wise choice at the moment.
okay. Then, all right. Now he could make a difficulty 0 roll, and that's it. All right. So he's just looking for, based on previous information, what he can discover about a good beam in point. Would you like me to spend momentum for more dice? Would you like me to add to threat for more dice? Or would you like me to save the momentum?
Who is you in that question?
This is Embuto's role.
Yes, I know, but who is you? You asked, would you like? Whom are you asking?
All of
the
you.
Table at large?
Yes, the table at large.
Okay.
So when I say you, it will be you. And I'm going to work very hard to say your names when I'm talking to you particularly.
I would vote for a yes, if just to follow up on Joe's previous recommendation, but it is not. I can be overridden.
All right. Threat or momentum?
How about some momentum this time? Oh, sorry.
Yep. No, I agreed.
Yeah. Now, normally I wouldn't be asking you these things about a character that you're not playing. It's just to make it really clear how everything's being decided. All right. Rolling the dice. Well, okay. And then the one from momentum. We ended up with 2 successes, a 13 and an 11.
Could be worse.
Right. Again, it was a difficulty 1 task, so 2 of these are added to the pool, and I will spend 1 for... Actually, I'm going to spend 2.
Ooh.
And create
advantage.
A sensor lock on the most stable zone, right? So I'm communicating this to the transporter chief. Embuto is in a surly fashion communicating this to the transporter operator at this time. And this zone, if you can make it back to this zone, you can very quickly request a beam out. If you're anywhere else in the complex, all bets are off.
Okay.
All right. So if you're in the landing zone,
understood,
there will be a reduced difficulty for transport. I'm going to. I'd like to role play my character if that's allowed. Yeah, absolutely. Always.
In that case, I'll say to Korskov, speaking here. I'll say to Yang.
As he's speaking to Yang,
yeah,
he's noticing that Yang's a little drained of color.
Ooh, okay. In that case, I'll say you've got your full kit together, right, Yang? You have everything.
He nervously checks and looks around, and he touches his parts, and he says, "Yes, sir."
All right, let's
hope they stay that way, sir.
The only thing I've listed as bringing is a phaser and emergency medical kit, which would probably have a medical tricorder of some sort as well.
Yeah, but tricorder and phaser for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's your choice of phaser 1 or phaser 2s, tricorder, medical tricorder, and yeah, okay.
I pack a big one.
Okay. And so this could be the end of the campaign right here. I am adding dice with threat. I bought 2 dice. Let's see if I can actually get the dice in the dice game. Seven, 10, 13, and 15.
Good thing you had spent the extra, actually. Keep going.
All right. And so you disappear from transporter room 1 of the USS Avicenna, and you arrive in unstable footing. It's dark where you are, but there is light down a crumbling corridor ahead of you. Everything is built with arched, reinforced underground doorways. You are on level 5, sub-level 5 of the complex. And according to the information sent to your tricorders by Ensign Mbuto, you are near the outermost edge of level 5 of the underground complex, where the wall reinforcement is the heaviest. Mm-hmm. On level 5 is their power plant, deflector shields, all the major and most dangerous equipment, and 5 life signs at the time when you're on the bridge.
Okay.
Right. Straight up moving to where we think the people are? Is that?
Yep.
Okay.
Priorities to life signs. Let's get people moving.
Sprint.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Now you have a tricorder.
Sprinting to the people. Tricorders tell you one thing, bleeding people tell you another.
All right. Now, you'll have to sometimes move with caution, right? There are almost constant tremors, and then sometimes there are larger shifts, right? Some of these are visible, almost like ripples down, the ferro concrete of the wall structure, and dust is raining down. But you can hear people screaming. Someone's calling for help, and someone's banging something metallic on a pipe, and it's causing echoes and distortion.
They're clearly trapped. Let's get there fast.
Mm-hmm.
The doors to engineering are partly open. One of the doors has come off of its track, so it is possible to crawl underneath it. But you can see from where you're standing in the dim light that there is like a catwalk grating, a corrugated metallic structure.
I love those things.
And it looks twisted and bent. So any injured parties may be having difficulty climbing up that ladder. So they're trapped in a room where the door is open.
Having trouble imagining that we can get under that. We need to get under that door to get into that room.
You could.
And the walkway on the other side is all bent up. We can barely can see a little bit of it.
Right.
So
you can do whatever you like. You might, you're able to remove the doors or whatever. So, but you're in a long corridor to get there.
I'm sprinting down the corridor, and I'm hoping that everybody's backing us up. Backing me up.
We're definitely all going. Let's get to the people in danger first. Then we can split tasks from there.
Okay.
I'll go in first, and just as quickly as possible over my shoulder. Stand by to help people up or help people through. If it's deadly in there, you might as well just lose me and not all 3 of us. So, I'm slipping under and looking, really hoping Ensign Yang doesn't stick his head in case it gets blown off. And I'm sorry to be ignoring Telek, but at the moment we're in disaster response. This is no time for
Yep.
Vulcan navel gazing. So
For sure.
yeah.
While this is going on, I will give Ensign Yang a task since he's looking a little bit pale. I will ask him, Yang, while we're dealing with this, please do a scan of the area and see what you can find regarding potential threats, environmental or otherwise.
Okay. He fumbles with his tricorder. And so this is a action, I believe, or it's a task,
This is a task.
which will utilize.
You are going to be scanning with the tricorder.
Yes, I am.
So, reason, science.
Science. All right.
Your difficulty, especially close to this, remember, is the engineering department, and now that you're up against the door, you can hear discharges of energy from inside. Your difficulty is 1. It's not just simply scanning and getting a report, right? Now it requires some of your skill. Okay, let's do this roll because it can be happening while Korsakov is sliding under the door, getting onto the shaky scaffold. Okay.
Would this be considered as a perilous situation?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I can't send.
You don't feel like you're in peril. I can.
Well, it says combat or
Good
perilous
time.
situation. So I have to. I have a benchmark of combat. But in this case, I think it'd be just a straight 2d20 roll. No momentum spends, no threats.
Okay.
And so my reason and science adds up to a target number of 10, 8 plus 2. My rolls are 6 and 19.
All right. 1 success.
Yeah, we're hitting a whole lot of high rolls, which is kind of cool. Yeah.
Okay. So, what would you like to know?
As the captain says, I think the first priority is to find out any other life science first, other than the 5 that we've already known.
Okay.
In other areas.
On the floor below, so on level 6, not level 5, on the floor below, there are 2 weak life signs.
Yeah.
2 weak human life signs. All right.
I obviously report that to the captain, telling him there are life signs below this level, and they may be actually in more danger than the ones that we are currently on.
Lieutenant Korsakov, you can see, lit by these energy discharges from engineering, right, as it's arcing all over the room, you can see a small group huddled together around a collapsed scaffolding similar to the one that you're on. This one is hit after an explosion by some large metallic object that crumpled most of it. It will require considerable athletics to get down. It may not be possible to get up with seriously injured parties. And there are at least 2 who are prone, receiving pressure, right? They're saying, keep pressure on it, keep pressure on it.
Excellent. And, all right. The path is clear. I'm going to bark out to them. Rescue operations are here. Able-bodied personnel. Transport the wounded to me. We have a sensor lock. Pass them up. There are people behind me. You, bring that wounded person here. Pass them up. There are people behind me. I'm repeating this.
Sure.
This is a protocol phrase.
Excellent.
Right.
Let's make it a task.
Absolutely.
Let's make
command,
it
obviously, right? Command and medicine. Because I'm using maintain pressure, all that stuff. And I'm doing my best to be super competent looking. You
All
know,
right.
ta-da, right, is my approach here.
All right. So it's going to
on
be
the other hand, it's also clear that I'll shoot anybody who doesn't comply. But that's just in the back.
So it can't be command in medicine. It can be command or medicine.
Oh,
but
sorry, my mistake.
Yeah.
Presence.
No, this is command. It's more important right now.
Telic assist
and-
on this?
How what?
Can Telic assist on this? Can I assist on this roll?
It's
Anthony?
if you are together, I don't see why not. If you're going to follow him, out onto that scaffold to
Okay.
prove the truth of his, there's people with me,
Yeah,
kind of thing.
absolutely.
That kind of stuff can work.
Once it becomes
it's clearly this is
clear.
presence, and it
Yeah.
is up to the game master to tell me whether it is command or medicine.
Command
I might
works
want to
for me.
focus on. Okay, good enough.
Yeah.
Okay, so I've got that basic 2 dice, and and you said command. Now this is interesting because I have cautious as a focus. So does that mean I play it cautiously in some way for my
Well,
extra die or something like that?
Honestly, it shapes how
Talent.
yeah.
Talent.
Read us the talent so that it's clear for everybody why we're having this discussion. So this is the
I
cautious.
actually read it and was somewhat confused in its directive rules-based approach. I
Okay.
understand it. It explained to me what cautious is. Thank you ever so much. I get that part.
Yeah.
What I need is its rules approach that is not very clear to me from the writing. Like, what does it mean? I think it means that I have to be cautious. So I'm going to put.
Yeah, because it has an opposite called bold. And these mechanically advantage you are in different situations.
Yes.
So
This one applies to command, I believe, that when I use commands that what, Anthony? What's the rule?
all right. So let's go to the specific wording of the text. So I thought you had it.
I did, but I'm telling you that I am not comfortable with my comprehension. So
Sure.
I want you to.
I thought you had the wording.
Page 136.
Thanks.
Should I read it out or?
Yeah, please.
Please
We'll
do.
make it easier.
All right. You must choose a single discipline when you select this talent.
Command.
Whenever you attempt a task with that discipline and you buy one or more D20s by spending momentum, you may reroll a single D20.
That's all it means. So
Yeah, and it doesn't say how that relates to being cautious. That's what confuses me. I want the role-playing part.
okay, so I'm going to start with the mechanical part. There are certain talents that allow reroll of a single die. Generally speaking, in the game, a reroll is any of the dice in the pool that you want. In this specific case of this talent, because you are cautious, because you are, here's the role-playing part, being careful, like you already stated. I'm using standard language. I'm repeating myself. I'm
not leaping over the balcony or any shit like that. Right. Got it.
Now, the guy with the bold talent can't really do what you just did.
Right, he would have played it the opposite for the same mechanical effect. Got it.
Cool.
Can we go? I'm ready.
All right.
So I'm rolling my 2d10 or 2d20. I mean.
Okay. Yeah. So I'll just show you the current. I'll show you the current pool, so you can. There.
Yeah.
So to use that talent, you would have
Okay. So you don't
to
have
use
any
momentum, but we don't have any momentum.
You don't
Yeah.
have any momentum.
Right. Yeah, we don't have any. Okay. All right. I have rolled my dice, and for once we do quite well. I've rolled a 12. Well, first of all, my target number. We had it's 11. So unfortunately, I roll 112, but the other one is a 3.
Ah.
And let's see under. No, my focus doesn't apply, so I don't get to benefit from the 3.
Still.
the 3.
One success,
Still.
which is what you needed.
Oh, thank God. Okay, good.
Cool.
So you've.
I was afraid there was more needed. Okay.
But we're not done yet, because the
course not.
captain had crawled in after you and offered an assist. So if we could have one die for the captain, and what is the range for Tliet?
We would be
Presence
probably
plus
dealing
command.
with presence plus command here, which would be a 14.
Same thing. Backing me up, I guess. Yeah.
14. All right, so one more die, please. Ron,
Someone
if
for
you
me,
could roll
please.
the one
Sorry.
more die.
No, I
That's
thought
right.
it was Joe, but okay. Ooh, and with a 14, we're awesome because I roll an 11.
All right, then.
That's
Hey, that's kind of cool. All right, we need that momentum for big. Now, do I get to use that for my?
You certainly can.
And what does that get me? That gets me a reroll,
Yeah,
right?
reroll.
You pick
Excellent.
one
I'm
of
gonna
those
reroll that
D20s.
12.
There you go.
Yeah. Ah, shit! I get a 13. Oh well.
Okay.
All right.
Wow.
Well, whatever. You can tell we're putting everything into it, right? Putting everything into it, and I'm actually really super relieved right now because if there's one thing we need right now, it's Vulcan muscles. So, excellent.
Yeah, not so much.
Okay.
Mm.
So they are, those who have been applying pressure, they're going to continue to apply pressure. So that's 2 of them, right? And there's 2 people down. So there's one person who is getting their arms, into the armpits of the injured, and they're dragging them across the floor. And there's cries of pain and discomfort, but it's just like, you can do it. It's not very far. But the person who's holding the pressure on, she's got blood smeared across her face, and her hair's all matted with it. She's looking up this scaffold at the 2 of you, silhouetted, against the dim light coming in from the hallway, and with huge shadows being thrown up by the arcing discharges, right? She's giving you this look like, I don't know how we're going to pick him up.
Well,
right?
we have no choice. I'm getting down there, and I'm going to. Well, now that I've got Telic there, then that's better. Now I can get down there and hoist and carry and help.
Okay.
And Xing Yang also rushes down to support Koshakov.
Oh,
Okay. Into the lion's
right.
den.
Teamwork.
And I feel bad. You're gonna get this kid killed. All right. So all right. So I suppose that getting that injured person up there without having them bleed out is our big priority. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna say to Yang, there's another one down. Get the rest of these people to get that other person. We've got this one. So I and the woman are gonna get this one. There's one other person down. Bust your ass with them. The other people, we've got 5 seconds.
Right. Now to get down there off this dangerous scaffold, I need fitness and security, please.
That's a pretty good roll for me. I can just take it with the 2 dice, I think.
The same for Yang, or is only Yang the one jumping down to get
Both
to
of
the
you.
other tree?
Both of you.
Both of us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, if there's any bonuses out there available, maybe Yang should use it, not me. I don't want to rush through again. Should I just roll?
Fitness and security, yeah?
All right. So you know how it works. So there's currently no momentum available for altering, but there's always threat available. All threat all the time.
Not quite yet. Not just yet.
All right.
Okay.
The difficulty. Sorry, I didn't tell you the difficulty. The difficulty is 1.
So who should announce the results first?
I guess I was physically ahead of you, so I'll do the. I got 2 successes, 1 nailing the target number, so. Ooh, right, and
Equal or less.
I had a 16 or less. Seriously,
cool.
I mean it's easy, but one of them was a 16. Thank you so much, dice. And so yeah, it's what you might expect. I mean, Korsakoff shows us stuff. Twisted, broken, corrugated staircase, my ass. He's just over the railing.
All right.
That later.
As
Right,
as Korsakoff hits the ground, right, safe, there is another huge discharge, which etches this black line of carbon scoring over top of the captain's head, right?
Well,
Not enough to, or not close enough to be danger, but indicating the possibility that this
Yeah.
this location brings.
okay.
And Yang?
All right. So my fitness and my security adds up to a 11 for target number. My
Yep.
rolls are 8 and a 4. So
Ooh,
2
Nice.
successes.
2 successes. Okay. So let's take a look at momentum.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does
So
that,
from Korsakov, we had 2 successes, needing 1.
So the
And
one, the
from-
extra one pops up. Mhm.
From Ensign Yang, we had 2 successes. Am I right? Needing
Mhm.
1.
Yes.
Good. We're going to need those. All right. Our superior choreography is giving us. All right. Fantastic. So can I just swing into what we were talking about? I'm helping the woman. Yang is going over and organizing the others, and we're getting these people up to Telek ASAP.
right.
I
Now we're going
gotta
to
say,
do
I
this.
still don't know. Korskov does not know about the 6th level information yet. I
Yes,
was
he
already
does not.
under the door.
Mhm.
I do not know that.
Yes.
Here's how I'd like to do this as you have described it. We're going to make it a very short, extended task. Okay.
Okay.
So what that means is I'll assign you a difficulty. It has very specific situations that need to be handled. You will have to generate a certain amount of work. You'll have to generate 6 units of work. This is a magnitude 1 task, which means it can be resolved by getting 1 breakthrough or by earning 6 units of work. Right?
Okay.
However, here's the challenging part. It has a resistance of 2. So that acts like the difficulty.
Right.
Okay.
All right, so if a roll is successful, you will be able to apply these interesting dice to it in order to generate work. That face that you're looking at now is showing 2 units of work, 2 useful points. If it were to show the delta, that's an effect which you can use for things like re-rolls or more dice and things like that. Okay. So we need to have the captain involved as he's receiving the injured parties, and we need to have Korsakov involved, and the woman can assist Korsakov. The injured guy, he's had enough. He's not going to contribute. And
Right.
The guy keeping the pressure on is not going to be involved because he's just reaching up, keeping the pressure on as long as he can. Okay. So we'll have Korsakov be the lead on this task. We'll have the captain able to assist, and the woman is also able to assist. Are there any questions at this point? There should be. What's the difficulty? The difficulty, as I said, was 2.
No, I'm on it. I got
Okay.
the difficulty.
And
Tell us what to do.
what
We're gonna
is the
roll.
role? This is purely physical with a little bit of science. So it's fitness plus, but I'm going to give you your choice of science or medicine.
Medicine for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Okay.
me, that's a pretty awesome roll. So is it, at the moment, it's 2 dice per, unless we want to use momentum? Or is that too simplistic?
So you will be rolling, or you're contributing the lead dice. That's 2 dice. The captain will be rolling 1 die, which we're going to ask you to roll for him, Ron.
Okay.
And the woman will be rolling 1 die. I'll ask KC if he could roll that for her. And that is our base pool before we do anything.
Oh, okay.
However,
So-
KC's die and the die from the captain don't count unless Ron's 2 dice
Ron succeeds.
Got it.
are successful.
Okay, I've got a 15 or less. Here comes my 2 dice. I roll 1 success with an 8 and an 18.
Okay. So for Joseph and for Casey, roll it.
I'm rolling for the assist. Is Ron
Yes.
rolling for the captain, or should I roll for the captain as well?
You go ahead and roll both of them. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Never mind.
So I have a 10 and a 12, but what are my target numbers?
Nice.
Mine is
10.
15. Yep.
For the captain, it's 15, and for the woman, it's 10. So
Oh, okay.
Oh, no, fitness is 13. Fitness plus medicine would be 13.
Still under.
still under.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, my 12
Yeah.
is still under. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
hmm
Ron has generated 1, and the assists have generated 2 more
Fantastic.
on difficulty 1, which provides us with 2 momentum in hand.
Good.
Okay. They're not in the
Tell
pool
us
yet.
next step.
These are here to be used. All right.
Oh,
Now, what are the options for generating work and what was the other one? Explosive successes or
Breakthroughs.
breakthrough.
Breakthroughs.
breakthrough?
Yeah.
Right, breakthrough. Yeah.
All right. So we will go to that. I need to assess the chart for that. Okay. Momentum generated on the tasks that make an extended task can be used in all the normal ways. But you can also buy additional work at a cost of 1. Piercing, ignore up to 2 resistance
Ooh.
for this task.
How much?
And-
How much momentum does that cost? 1.
1. And for 1,
Yeah.
re-roll work. So when you roll the dice, okay, we're going to be generating work, and we have to overcome the resistance, which is 2. And you could spend 1 momentum to re-roll any of the challenge dice that aren't as good as you'd like. So those are your 3 additional options. You can simply
May
buy
I
more
vote
work.
for knocking out that resistance with one of those?
Well, let's see what happens first, all right?
Okay.
We don't have to decide now.
Okay.
How many work dice do we get with this roll?
All right, so you're starting with a base of 2.
hmm
Okay.
I'm not sure what that means, starting with a base of 2.
Okay. Sorry, a base of 2 dice.
2 challenge
Yeah.
dice.
Yes,
Yeah.
which we did.
Two of these dice.
Yeah.
2 of the D6s.
Uh-huh.
And
Additional equal to discipline.
yes, equal to the discipline, which in this case is medicine.
Which is bronze.
Bronze
Which is
medicine.
3.
Yes.
So that's
So that'll be 5.
5.
5 of those. That's cool.
Ooh. Yep.
So we roll these to see how much work we get. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
And so it will be 1, 2, none, or 1 plus effect.
Yes. Let's roll them.
Yeah.
And I dropped 1. 3 effects, so that's 3 work plus, can you see them? Yes.
Yeah.
So
So that's
5 work plus 3 effects.
Oh, wow. That seems like a lot. What does that do to our overall extended task without modifying it?
It would mean that you have scored what's called a breakthrough, which is getting 5 on a roll. So in other words, like we imagine, you are highly competent Starfleet officers, and this is no barrier, despite
Well, this
the
is
injury.
what we do. Right. This is what we do. You're seeing us
yeah.
doing our thing now. Yeah.
This is our wheelhouse. Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. We are in our comfort. Well,
Rescue and medicine.
our uncomfortable comfort zone.
Yeah.
Now, the resistance would be taking away 2 of these, but you have 3 effects right?
Right.
So you can
right.
cancel out the resistance, and you can buy extra work, and so you're all set.
Clarify. That's awesome. First of all.
Mm-hmm.
Second, that means that our 2 hovering momentum there, we don't need to do things like generate more work and stuff.
Right.
Does that mean they can just shift into the momentum pool now?
Yes.
Oh,
That
bonus.
sounds wonderful.
Yeah.
Yep.
So now your momentum bank is 4.
Ooh.
No, I think we're going to need that to get these people out of here and onto the transport. Back to that sensor lock, guys.
Okay.
All right. So
Now,
we're going to bust our asses with this.
So as you are taking care of these people, all right, and as the way has been established, so when Ensign Yang is able to drag his victim over, the how to do it is already well known. We're going to end this scene here, and we are going to go back aboard the USS Avicenna.
Can I possibly add something on the previous scene?
Sure.
Before we move?
Before we go? Yep.
Yep. Before we move to the commercial, what I'd like to do is, as the people are coming up, I'd like to make sure that there's nothing life-threatening medical-wise that we need to treat before we move them. Even if
We've
this
got at
means
least
like
one
a level
person heavily
0.
bleeding, right? So yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. I like
What's
that
the-
indeed.
Yeah. What's the best choice? Do I need to treat them on the platform before I can move them, or should we just get them into that room?
Right. Okay.
Just a
I
quick
like
check.
Yeah.
So let's take a look at reason
Mhm.
and medicine,
Uh-huh.
unless you want to go for daring.
No.
This is an emergency situation. I think I will go for a daring in medicine.
All right.
Yep.
All right. So I'll assemble the pool and roll it, so we can try and watch it to make all the fantastic effort of this Gorn
Ooh,
rubber
this
suit
is 1972. So what 1970 means instead of 1966 is we get to have blood spatters. Because remember, MASH started doing blood spatters on that, right?
Right.
Remember that? Yeah.
A whole new grittier Trek, but still no holes in the
Yes.
clothes.
And
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
Don't mess with the uniform. Okay. What's my target number? Is this a 0?
This what is the difficulty? It's not a 0
Yeah,
because of the urgency
Nope.
of the situation and the arcing bolts
Gotcha.
of energy and someone's bleeding on Ensign Yang.
Gotcha. That's not
And you
good.
can see it.
Okay,
His gold shirt, is being soaked.
All right. So my target would be 15
Okay.
for daring plus medicine.
Would you like to handle
I
that?
will roll if you would like me to.
Please
I'll
do.
do it. I'll do it.
Oh, okay.
Anthony, okay.
We've got them.
Oh,
you
right,
like-
dice cam. He wants to show off his dice cam. Pretty blue dice.
My ridiculous
read the dice.
dice game.
I like it.
Do you want to just use the 2 dice?
I think so. 15. This is just a quick check, a quick daring check. Let's
How bad can it
let's
be?
roll and move along.
6 and 16.
Ooh.
Par for the course for this session, I got to say. I think every one of our rolls has had at least one screw you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
die.
It's not a 16.
Yeah.
I was looking at it funny. It's 6 and 8.
Oh,
6 and 8. Oh, cool.
2 successes, 1 bonus momentum.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Unless
this is
you'd like
just
to use it for something.
No, I think we'll put it into the pool. This is a quick. Can we move them? Move
yeah.
along.
We're building for that transport roll, aren't we?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, this
Answer
yeah,
is
yeah.
yes, but I am going to spend a little bit of threat here. I'm spending 2.
Mhm.
And I'm adding a trait to the scene of another tectonic shift.
Oh.
There's the realization that this whole place could come down. Maybe,
Ooh,
maybe
so this
not.
is the whole.
but- Yeah. This is the big one. This is where people are moving from side to side. So you just finished the check. You can move them, but you got to move them quickly. They're not going to last long. Yes. Right.
I know that Anthony would love to close the scene, and we did this to him last time, and I'm going to do it to him again.
Well, we'll see.
Which is just the quickest possible little role playing bit here for me to say to Yang, Ensign, scan for anyone else. I hope this is everyone, but scan for anyone else right now,
So
not knowing that you've already done it.
Yeah. But have I gotten the ones that I was bringing them up, or we have to do another check for that?
We did that.
Yeah,
it's including mine.
Yeah.
All right, it's done. Then as Korsakov asked me to scan around, I shout back at him, "We need to get those under level 6."
Already did it. Oh, rock and roll. Okay, so cool. Okay, shutting up now.
All right. So the scene ends with we need to get them on level 6, and that registers as, you know, the huge cracks go up the wall, massive pieces of masonry come crashing down, and behind Ensign Yang's boots, right, that crumpled stairwell rips away from the wall, and engineering is just filled with coruscating energy, and we assume that the crew is making their run down the hallway to get to the transporter point. Any likelihood of them getting down to level 6 from here, or being able to do that before these people perish, is not going to happen. So they have to transport up and then transport back down. So scene ends, we move on to the Avicenna, where we have the doctor, Jim, in sick bay, and he's communicating with the bridge about his readiness. Anya, who'll be played by one of you, who would like to take Anya?
I want someone else to be Jim, so I'll be Anya, unless someone else wants it.
Jim's an NPC, so I'm going to handle Jim. But
okay, someone else take Anya then.
Yeah.
I'll take Anya.
Anya.
Okay.
Mbuto is, of course, on the bridge as well. Who wants Mbuto?
Someone else want to? I really like Mbuto, but if
Ron, Mbuto is yours.
Okay, Mbuto is mine for now.
All right, so we got Anya,
Okay.
Mbuto, and now we need the third. All right, so Ensign Yang is on the planet, so maybe another navigator, helmsman kind of character.
I've got an idea for one.
All right, we need a name. That's all we need for right now. We need a name.
Oh, okay. Lieutenant Commander Jane Finch.
Oh.
Ooh, like a high-ranking person.
1 year away from retirement.
Oh, what a bunch of geezers on this ship. Yang must feel like, aren't there anyone around here?
All right. So I'm going to put a note in that although she is a lieutenant commander, she is 1 year away from retirement and has been separated from senior staff and a lot of heavy duties and these sorts of things, kind of not out of the chain of command, but out of the career command.
Yeah.
Kind of stuff. All right, Lieutenant Commander.
The Avicenna is obviously a dead end in more ways than one.
For some, but it's a home
for some.
others.
Yeah.
Okay, so these are the characters on the bridge. There are others who are working in the background who, are not even secondary characters. Yeah. So we have Mbuto at the near tactical at the life science station. We have, of course, Anya at the con. She was left in charge. And we have Lieutenant Commander Jane Finch at the helm. All right.
And we're at the bridge, not the shuttle bay at the moment.
That's right. These characters are on the bridge, and communication is coming from sickbay, from Dr. Jim, indicating that they're ready to receive the wounded. And you can he's on the visual screen, the main viewer, so you can see behind him the activity of preparation in sickbay, right? And he wants to know when the landing party is going to arrive, and he's politely but firmly indicating that he would like as much advance notice about the nature of the injuries as possible. Right. And he's speaking directly to Anya Smith, Lieutenant Anya Smith.
So Anya is trying to reassure to the doctor that she will update doctor on the details once she gets them. Right now, the priority is trying to get in contact with the away team to know their status, and also when is their how many do they have in custody, and how many are beaming up to the ship. So the important thing here is to establish contact.
Disconcertingly, he smiles and says, "Thank you." And then, this is when Ensign Mbuto notices the massive seismic event that the main characters have just experienced, right, on the sensors.
Oh man! So the, Mbuto is saying that it's collapsing, or it's probably it's collapsing, and I'm going to punch whatever I need to do to try to absolutely pinpoint the location of the away team and anyone with them.
Excellent.
So
this is another sensor scan roll from him.
Okay. So checking the table, should I pump it with a momentum just for a die?
Your difficulty would be,
because I'm hoping it'll feed into the transporter roll. That's
difficulty would be 2, but because of the previous advantage created, it's currently 0.
Awesome. Our sensor lock is helping us out here. Excellent. Yep. Okay. So should I get that extra die, or should I just do it with 2?
We've got that stone.
It's a nice pool so far. I thought maybe dipping into 1 would be okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would
Sure.
say go for it.
No objection.
3 dice on its way.
All right.
Target number, Anthony, please.
0.
Oh, wait. Target number.
Oh, well.
Not difficulty.
Reason
that was 10 is 14.
Okay. Well, I roll 1 19 and I roll a 5 and a 6. So that's 2 successes. So we can roll that into a net gain of 1 momentum, right? Just spent 1 and now we can toss in 2.
No,
Good. Everybody?
Yeah.
Because
so that was
the base. I'm assuming the baseline is information tells us exactly what we need to know.
Right. Here's the base information. Here it comes. And then you can decide if you want to spend more to learn more.
Sure.
The tectonic impact, which he notices from the beginning, and then zooms in to refine his sensor lock. It doesn't fit the normal pattern of seismic activity, such as plates grinding against each other and then shockwaves spreading out. In fact, it seems to be coming from far deeper in the planet.
Okay.
Would you like to know more?
Okay, first of all, Mbuto is analyzing and says, Lieutenant Commander, you know what he doesn't say to, what's her name? Jane, not Jane. Anya has the con, correct?
Anya has the con.
He doesn't use the rank. These guys are old hands, right? He doesn't use the rank at all. Says, Anya, the seismic activity is anomalous. Checking on this, checking now on the away team specifically. And that's what one of the extra momentum is going to get that information.
Okay, information about the away team. How is the away team? Okay.
We need to know, are they in the sensor lock? If they're not, we got a lock on them, anew.
Right.
Because I want to get those people out of there right now.
So scanning reveals that the away team with 5 additional parties is moving through a very dangerous area based on the shockwaves and tremors toward the beam out point.
Okay, I will report that, and I will say they are imminently in the sensor lock range with disaster victims. All are alive, ready for transport on my mark.
Would you like to know more?
I think we need to keep those dice. We got to keep those dice for our roll.
I'd really like more information about that source.
Okay, in that case, Casey, you're the deciding vote. More info or not?
I would say for more info. Anya would say she would like to like ask the Umbutu is like, you need to know exactly how much longer does the awaiting have to be on the planet to be safe.
And the only reason I prompt this discussion rather than having it reside solely with Ron is that his opening statement was the seismic activity is anomalous. And I can't picture Anya just letting that go.
Yeah.
She's connected with bones in my head for some reason. She's like, what do you mean it's anomalous?
I'm liking this.
Anomalous.
All right. But normally
Buto's actually focusing on the people. That's why he was like, that's aside. I want the people.
Yeah. And this, I think, can go into inform why Mbuto is so terse with folks. They don't get him. He's so concerned about the people, and they're like, tell me more about this earthquake.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. But normally I wouldn't push.
Guys.
No, I'm liking this.
I got to interrupt today.
I
got to interrupt today. I've got a hard limit today of 1 more minute. So I've got a class that starts in like 4 minutes.
Oh, no. Okay.
Got it.
Yeah.
Anthony, give us the extra info. We bought it. We want it.
Mm-hmm.
Here is the extra info. The anomalous earthquake situation is caused by a beam of particles radiating out from deep in the core of the planet, and they are on their way with a certain momentum.
Oh.
And we can see the scanner again, doot, 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 toward the Avicenna.
Oh.
And we cut to commercial.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Search no more. The quest for the ultimate blade is over. Gillette introduces Platinum Plus, the blade with an edge of Gillette's astonishing new platinum alloy.
Another cliffhanger.
Yeah, well, inside the episode, does it really count? Okay. So this is part B of what is now obviously going to be a 3-parter, right? Or 4-parter, hopefully 3-parter, of our pilot episode, filled with lots of daring do and medical bravery. Okay.
Cool.
All right.
This was awesome, guys. I got to shut it down right now. And
Take care,
we'll
John.
see you guys next
Take
week.
care.
All right. Bye.
We'll continue a little bit with closing
Table
thoughts.
Yeah, we got right. Come down. A little.
So one of the first things that comes to my mind as the GM is one thing I've experienced with this system. Every time I'm in this position of like running it at the beginning, as soon as we get to the extended task, I find it difficult to remember exactly how I want it to go. And I need to go looking for it in the text. And then, of course, I encounter the text, and that's just kind of like
Too
a
many
fist fight in the
options,
street.
too much intro. Yeah.
So I was sorry that took so long to get going. But I guess that's a signpost for fellow GMs is to make notes and like a Post-it note or something, and of whatever the rule is that is giving you grief, and have it there somewhere that you can find it. But I didn't remember that was that rule for me until it came up again.
Another feeling. Casey, did you want to say something?
I'll definitely extract that particular rule set.
Yeah.
Cut off the fats and keep it
Right in the wiki.
In the wiki. Because when you started saying extended task, I went to the chapter and I'm like seeing like 10 paragraphs.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's really, really cool. And each type of extended task really has its own flavor. and I knew which task, and I knew how much, but in the moment, I couldn't think of how many challenge dice. It was here, but not here. And I really needed that prompt of, is it the discipline? Yes, that's what it is. Thank God. Or thank KC in this case.
No, this is great. I'm liking the fact that we're all facilitating play, suggestions about what a character might do or say to me about the character I'm playing. If I'm in the zone and I don't want to hear it, I'll say so. I'll say, hold on, I got it, working.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it just helps me feel as though other people are interested in what I'm doing. And if we get that going among all of us, then it's not interference, right? It's not disruption. It's just kind of a nice matrix of play.
The risk with momentum, the bank of momentum, is that it can go into becoming a committee meeting about how it gets spent, which is the bad side of what you just talked about. Yeah.
I completely agree with you about that. And that's why I think that the notion of we always know who does have the authority to say, okay, thank you, bam, right, is a good thing. And it lies with that person,
that person
who's up. But the thing that's and also a certain amount of balls to the wall. I listen, I know there are 17 other options, but I know there's the one option I understand, and that's the one I'm going to take because I wanted to do that. Done. Go look it up later, right?
Yeah.
But the other thing I was going to say is I'm real interested in the values because, I'm going to do it the long way. There's a game that came out in the very early 2000s called The Shadow of Yesterday, and it's hugely influential on tons of these, including this one, which is there's this rule, you have these things called the key of this, the key of that, and you get experience points by playing into it. And it's fairly graded. You get like a little 1 or 2 for just doing it. You get more for doing it in some specific way that's listed for that key. But if you decide that you're going to abandon the key, you do something that contradicts it. You totally say, I'm going to let my loved one die, right? Or whatever. The thing that, I never lie. I'm all about honesty. Well, tell a serious lie, and doing a lie for an advantage or something, right? Then it's called buying off the key, and you get and you lose the key and can't ever have that key again, and you and you get a big old wad of experience points, right? Like a ton. So here's the problem. When people started playing that, you can see they want to use the gears, right? They want to use the gears. There's a gear, I'm going to use it, chick, 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 right? And you can see what people start doing. They start using keys like hamster wheel. They get a new key, they ruin it. They get a new key, they ruin it. And there's no role playing. I mean, you can't challenge a value until we see the value actually being held and upheld. And so I'm real interested in that whole business of challenging values. And I don't mean necessarily crossing them off, but I mean just challenging them at all,
or
right?
Complicating values.
Complicating them, whatever the term is. But I'm interested in it. But again, I've especially given the heavy, like the tight focus on the events of play that we've had. I mean, we're almost doing shot by shot role playing, right, in TV terms.
Yeah.
So, which is fine. But under those circumstances, it's going to take a little while, and I just accept this. It's going to take a little while for us all to kind of even see our profile of values. And Joe's helping because he's quoting his values, right, as he role plays. So we know, that these are value statements. I've done it a couple of times for sure.
Yep.
But the idea is that if somebody jumped in and says, I'm challenging this value right now, I'd be like, we never saw it. right? We never knew it was a value. It's not,
It
there's
does
no
take
drama
time,
there.
and in this
So it takes a little
particular
time. Yeah.
in this particular system, this is one of those things where they come out and they say that the ultimate decision rests with the game master on whether or not this is where we're
Right.
going with that scene as part of the game master's scene authority. And that's interesting. I do like to have a little bit of more openness than that.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to say use control plus science.
Right. The game is kind of it. Okay, I don't mean to run over anything other people want to say, and I just talked a lot. So, anyone else want to put in a paragraph before I put in my next fucking paragraph? Right. But the issue here is my problem with the whole Fate family of games. Right, Fate, the ones, now don't just mean Fate and the ones based on it. I'm talking about Fate's precursors, Fudge, and a variety of others. Anything, in fact, I would say it started as just a tabletop rules hack, which was to say, okay, well, you got a bunch of experience points. You can burn experience points for another die or for a bonus, right? People just started doing that at the tables, and then it started showing up as rules. Yeah. DC Heroes was like the huge breakout on this one, even more so than others. When you said these hero points you have, you can do anything. You can reduce the difficulty. You can reduce the effect of an opponent. You can reduce the roll of an opponent. You can increase your own roll. You can increase the effect of your roll. You can do this. You can do that. All this fucking stuff you can do with your hero points. And suddenly it means that your dice, you don't have to live with your dice outcomes anymore. You can massage everything. You can massage any statistic in the game. Difficulty, effect, whatever. Yours or anyone else coming in on you. And every goddamn roll suddenly becomes a resource management massage event, right? And Fate takes this up to 11. I mean, Fudge dice are already set up to be as minimal as possible. They got this enormous bell curve, right? This enormous thin bell. So, I mean, Fudge, in my opinion, was written by people who are terrified of the dice. Sure. God help us if the dice ever like jar us off of what we want or what we're comfortable with saying. And so Fate is like take that and put it on steroids, and nothing ever happens in Fate except what gets negotiated. The dice are so pro forma. Why don't we just all say, here, I'll push my Fate points over there. You push the hazard points back at me. We'll just push these back and forth across the table, and everybody can assist, and everybody can do this and that and all the rest of it. No, I'll role play my character, which gives me a Fate point, which is another mechanic which I fucking hate. Right. I mean, I came here to role play my character. Shouldn't get a bonus die because I'm playing my character like I made him. I mean, give me a fucking break. So I do this, and all of a sudden, I mean, all I have to do is just like, or I say, the GM will say, will you play your character frustrated, like it says on your sheet? And I go, oh yeah, I'm so frustrated. Okay, here's your Fate point. Okay, roll that into my effect, right? And my God, it's this whole bullshit yap that just generates this consensus-based outcome. Right? And Casey, I don't know if you know this, but if you look at any of the games I've designed, you'll note there are zero mechanics of that kind. In my games, you eat your dice, right? And so the whole that's the dark side of this entire system.
Right. What happens with how it allows you to, or those areas where you're allowed to modify outcomes? Yeah.
If you don't hit a hard limit during play as a reality, that using these cool things means you're not going to get them next time. You know, if this isn't a limited resource, ultimately, I mean, you can say, well, you had 4. Well, do we ever hit the limit, right? In practice is the question. And I'm not saying you don't. I'm saying that I don't know this game well enough. Yeah. But that's the question in my mind as we proceed. Are we just floating on a bed of the safety points the entire goddamn time.
So here's some of the things that happen to take us in the other direction. Difficulties, normal difficulties can go as high as 5.
That's brutal. Yeah.
So think about that.
No, I
and
get
what we've
that.
rolled. And then there are other situations like one of the things I haven't done yet because it hasn't felt right for the actual event is I can use threat to increase the complication range, meaning it's not just 20 that's bad.
Okay.
I can take it all the way down as low as 16.
Mm-hmm.
So we've had lots of rolls in the 16 and up range.
Yeah,
and each
we
one
did
of those,
today. That's for sure. Yeah.
Each one of those could be dropping in scene traits or other things.
Yeah, but that's a lot of could be in your statements in the last couple of statement.
Right. Those responses rely on the game master to do something. All of them, setting the difficulty and
in and of itself, that's not a bad thing. I'm not one of these anti-GM people who sneers and says, "Oh, that's GM fiat." No, if it's a job, it's the job, right? That's okay.
Especially with threat expenditure, it becomes not fiat; it becomes the GM
you're playing. Yeah, exactly. So I'm just proceeding what I'm about to say by saying that I'm not ideologically challenging the notion that the GM gets to do something, for Christ's sake. So, right? I mean,
which some people do.
Some people do, right? That's why I'm putting that little paragraph in there. I'm good with that.
Yeah.
But as we proceed into the dark side of these comments, the dark side is the thing that is also a reality. And again, it's the Fate family of games that I am criticizing, who never ever let go of the idea of the GM as the story den daddy. Right? The story, it's like, well, they just had a tough time, had a couple of bad rolls. We'll just soften things in the next few conflicts and let that mechanic of building up the momentum, build up again. And I'll just keep, softening and hardening.
Yeah.
And it'll, and you'll see this in the rule books, right? The whole business about, increase the tension, make things more interesting, all that, these kinds of phrases that basically are all about this control of, it's like elections in America. Sure, you have a choice, but you know what? They're, the systemic phenomena of actual policies really isn't going to be changing anytime soon. So
I'm really glad you brought this up, not the politics part, but the dark side of where this can go. And does it make sense if I say story modulation, right? Oh, it was really hard. They're all beaten, so I'm going to let them earn some
imposed story outcomes, indirectly, softly, subtly, comfortably. Imposed story as opposed to produced story, made story.
Yeah,
See,
sure.
The vocabulary is terrible for that, right?
We were going to say emergent, and then we decided we didn't want to say emergent.
Well, emergent, again, you find the right word, and then it gets misinterpreted and used for some other goddamn thing,
Yes.
right? And so
produced.
You're just ahead of this wave front. Yeah, you're just in this wave front of your terminology, getting subverted as you go along.
So we've got imposed in this conversation versus produced. And
done. Produced is terrible. It implies intent.
We still haven't. So unintended production versus intended
but we
imposition.
Wanted to do it. Yeah. You and I go back and forth on this. We do intend it, but we do not control it.
Yeah, we don't control it. So
exactly.
Anyway, what I wanted to say was, if you're the type of game master for whom that dark side that we described sounds like fun, this game is ready to support you, and
Absolutely.
you can.
Right.
I mean, Star Trek as a universe, as an IP, is deadly and dangerous. The phaser bursts on the TV show. The person just disappears.
They'll
in a flash
disintegrate you. Yeah,
of
that's
light.
the end of you.
Right. And the game does that for you. Right. You've in a sense, you've got 2 injuries, and an injury is a certain amount of damage. It's 5 points of damage, but the phasers are going to kill your character. Right. So it's really deadly.
Better play some supporting characters, because you never know. Right.
So if that if that
But
is
that won't happen. But it won't happen if the bed of momentum is kept beautifully positive.
right,
Right.
so you
And it
don't
won't
have to let that happen. Yeah.
Or if the GM just never points a fucking phaser at you.
Well, there's that too. Yeah. So,
I mean,
for my
so
side of things, I'm not the guy who's going to make decisions about this scene based on how beat up you were in the last scene.
right.
And I think we've seen that in this particular session already.
No, I definitely trust you on. Well, I trust you mostly on that. We're still learning about each other, right? I mean, we all know that it's like martial arts schools. We keep going to these metaphors.
Yeah.
Every martial arts school will tell you that they're all about body, mind, and spirit.
Yeah.
All of them. Yeah, we talked about this. All of them will tell you that.
However,
and so it's the same thing with game masters. Every game master will say, oh, in our games, we play and see what happens. I don't control anything. You know, the players are free to do whatever they want, right? Real danger. Every game master will tell you that. And so you just have to get in there. You got to go into that studio and throw some punches around and, you know, see what the comportment is in that martial arts group and see what you can learn from it, how you're received. You just have to do it. There's no believing anything on the storefront, advertised in the storefront.
There's what we say we do, what we realize we do, what we'll admit to what we do, and you know, there's a whole range of.
Oh yeah, and also, I mean, you watch yourself, or you get what other people say after playing with you and stuff like that, and then you're like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
Wow, I'm just not going to do that anymore. Yeah. Right. But
I want to go back to something before I forget. There in the scene, in the rescue scene, where we do the extended task with Korsakov as the lead and a variety of people helping. I made the decision as the game master to end that scene rather than repeat that whole process with Ensign.
Right, another Hoyt. Right.
This makes sense to everybody who is involved, I think, but I just want to make sure that people don't feel left out of it. Right.
How are you on that, Casey? Did you think Yang got shorted?
No. Because there was a consideration. Okay, if you're going to move on to the next scene, I'll be coming back here to do the same thing again.
Right. There's also the distinction. This is another set of terms that has been repeatedly subverted despite my efforts, which is that I know that the English teachers have probably destroyed this for all of us forever, right? Literature and English teachers.
Oh yeah.
We had a conflict. Were the mechanics that we utilized sufficient for us to say the conflict is handled, and did we account for everything that everybody would be doing in it? And I think we did. And that's different from saying every single character who performs a muscle movement needs their own role.
Right.
Which is in role-playing speak, task resolution. Right. When you do this, do that. It's a task. Yes. So then we talked about, well, there's conflict resolution as a property of multiple task resolutions. So as long as you just do all the task resolutions, you will end up with conflict resolution. That's sort of the ideal of some people. We never abstract to the conflict. No. Everybody, we're just going to call for tasks until it's all done. Right. And then you have the question, of course, somebody is going to say, aren't we fucking through this already? How many stealth rolls do we have to make to get through this meadow? Right. Exactly. Well, not only that, but you fail the stealth roll and the GM goes, well, yeah, they kind of start noticing you, make another one. Because the GM wants you to get through the meadow, right? So, or it's the other way around. You make your stealth roll and you're like, okay, we're past the fucking guards. No, you're not past the fucking guards. You're past the first guard. You're like, right? And so because the GM wants you to be in the fight with the guards, you got the guards already. This is going to be cool, right? And it's because it's for the fun. So all the whether how many times you roll and whether it gets you through or not, what does a failure mean? Those are just more massaging things for, you know, Story Nanny to, you know, keep taking care of you.
Yep.
And so it's, in this case, I think the vibe of the game, particularly with all the assisting mechanics and everything, is pick a lead, everybody gets to do what they do, resolve.
Yeah.
You know, hit to different tasks, I mean, different leads, let's call them different leads. Hit to different leads when the conflict is different.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the only way I can think of to say it, but it is brutal because then you get these horrible conversations. And I know exactly who the guilty parties are. And I can tell you, like, historically exactly when this happened. When you start having these goddamn consensus committee decisions in the middle of play of what's our conflict. And I again, I blame literature teachers for, you know, this guy's trying to kill this guy in this chapter. And then the teacher puts down the book and says, so what's the conflict? And it's like, it's not hard. it's not hard. So it's my frustration with the need to suddenly, there's a joke in English, the English language lets us play with this. The slang phrase to go for broke, you know, to give it everything you've got, you know, throw everything you got into it, go for broke. Well, we talk about going for baroque, like the art term, right? And gamers always go for the baroque, right? And so that's my frustration with all talk of conflict in role playing. I really mean it. I think it's super important, but the second you bring it in, they're going to go for the baroque, and you're like, oh, that was not what we were here for. That's not what the term was introduced for. So does that make any sense, Anthony? I mean,
yeah, I'm good. My concern is the 2 hour time limit and the arcaneness of some of the mechanics at first. This will disappear really quickly, right? Yeah. But it's not like a series of complicated steps being combined into a complicated process. It's a simple process with simple steps. There's just a lot of steps.
There's a lot of options too.
Yeah. Options. So, you know, in not very much time, our 2 hours is going to be a whole lot more opportunity to do things. But right now, our 2 hours doesn't seem like very much opportunity to do much. So my concern is, I don't want to lose interest, but at the same time, I want to be able to share confidence in the mechanisms. So, you know, that's what's being juggled. How about you, Casey? What are your concerns?
Well, I have to say, like, for this session alone, compared to session 1, I think I much prefer this session in the sense that the story is sort of being driven by every roll that we make.
Yeah.
More than session 1. You know, it builds up its own momentum. That every decision of whether we want to roll dice or what do we want to roll dice, I think that becomes its own sort of mini narrative in its own sense. And we did a lot of that for this session, I feel. Mm-hmm. So I feel it's not the kind of story that we would normally would like to see. But I think having a different track that's being played out, I think it's actually kind of interesting. And I think it's actually showing a bit of the strength of this system in particular, because, you know, when every time you're thinking whether you want to use momentum to be on the safe side or you want to use track to, you know, make things interesting later on, is a consideration that I'm thinking about. And especially with my character build, I'm actually, I actually can be both. I can actually try to generate more momentum for myself, or I can actually generate more threat.
I think one of the other interesting points is the momentum decaying, which we saw hit us because we've actually built up a certain amount on that bridge scene, and then some of it goes away, and we were like, oh, fuck. Oh, okay, we really ought to be using more of that stuff, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
there's a diminishing return.
Let's not bank too much, right? I mean, banking isn't really going to help us too much. And I think that was something I definitely learned. I might want to save this for reflections, but I will briefly say that I am not having any trouble with the ratio of fictional events to time played at this time.
Yeah, that's the same for me.
That's perfectly okay. I mean, we'll never, if you plan it, you just screw things up anyway, right? And to me, the payoff is whether I'm enjoying spending the time with the three of you. I could have been doing a lot of things today.
Right on.
And so that's the hard line right there. That's the end and the be all and the end all of anything we do of this kind. And so far, well, no pressure, Anthony, but it's going fine. Exactly. Yeah, it's going fine. You know, I'm not going to give you a gauge, you know, of that.
You got one more session or you're out of here, buddy.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's not the point. The real point is that it is definitely, you know, well worth it. I mean, intellectually learning the game, but socially enjoying our time together, you know, dramatically in terms of just enjoying the fiction, right, that we do, being in it, feeling my way into the different characters, right? And I think that all of those, you know, whatever it takes, who knew how long the four of us would take to, you know, click with the dice? Who knew how long it was going to take before we're feeling real, okay, this is what your dude's about. Oh no, you're going against it. This is your, you know, your place where this, and you're discovering what it's like to deal with three people who, you know, kind, jolly as we may be, we're going to do things like say, actually, I want more in this scene, or my dude's going to do this, or my dude's going to handle it like that. And, you know, I think that's great. Actually, takes us time to do it.
Cool. Yeah, the reason why I asked that question about time is partly because it took longer than I wanted to explain the extended task, but I opted to go into full explanation of here's creating a secondary character, rather than saying Mbuto has a 14 for this role.
Right. No, that's fine too. Because maybe in the
I
next...
actually like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially for this particular, you know, recorded session, and everyone's going to watch it because no one's going to understand, oh, Mbuto has a 14. Where did the 14 come from while you're watching it?
Right. Yeah. The game master just decided it's fear.
I know.
It's fear. Yeah.
But that's, I mean, explaining it made it longer.
Oh,
but it really is a pretty quick process to create.
I didn't find it tedious in terms of experience whatsoever.
Good. But you could imagine, like in a scene, Ron, where, you know, your character is just beamed down to a planet somewhere, and then we have some emergency on the flight deck with Yang, right? You could suddenly have an idea for some engineering crewman, right? And, you know, as you're describing the character running across the deck, you're thinking, okay, 10 here, 9 here, you know, 10, 9, 9, 8, 8, 7.
I might even
4,
just,
3, 2, 2,
I mean,
1, 1.
I could easily see myself saying, this guy is so not daring. I'm going to throw you, you know, right when you need it. You need a daring badass for your engineering tech right here, Yang. But you know what? All of our characters have been hardened veterans so far. All of our supporting cast have been these hardened veterans. And you're not getting the hardened veteran this time. And I'll just say to the GM, make them up with a low daring, and let the rest of the numbers be whatever, whatever seems reasonable for this guy, and just let you do it and then take it from there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. It's not me who builds that character. I built Anya because I didn't want to use the time in that opening
But what
session.
I'm saying is that in the thick of play, I might split the difference and give you like a parameter, and then let you do a little bit of arithmetic, over there.
Or we do it in between sessions, or
right,
whatever.
right. Just as long as I say, okay, this guy's only got a daring of 6, and keep going, right?
So it makes it pretty easy, I think.
I'm sad. I got to go buy a Christmas tree today, so I should get going.
All right. Thanks for playing, everybody. And
good luck with the comments, by the way. Thank you very much. I'm not. Good luck with your comments on your videos.
Main channel.
It's YouTube. There is there's good out there too. So. All right. Take care, everybody.
All right.
Bye.
Good evening, friends.